Hey everyone, Sarah Picaro. Today's video is about you. If you are your own worst critic or your own worst enemy. So many people who've been in narcissistic relationships, myself included, get to a point where we realize I am harder on me than the narcissist is on me. And that's a really difficult truth and a really difficult place to come to, because you are in this space of having been abused mentally, emotionally, spiritually, oftentimes financially for so long. It's very easy to point the finger at someone else and blame them and say, well, you did XYZ to me, you did this to me, I am this way because of you. But when you're at the space of being honest and you're tired, it's tiring to continue to go head to head and bat to bat with someone. It's exhausting. It literally takes all of your energy. You barely have enough to go to work, to perform well at your job, to pay the bills, to cook, to clean, to raise children. You barely have enough energy. So it's no wonder why you feel like your world is falling apart, because in so many ways it is. All the while you're trying to keep up this game with this person who is relentless in the pursuit of having you lose, just so they can feel a little bit better about themselves. But when you're honest with yourself and you get to the breaking point, and I do believe you have to get to that point with that person or in a relationship or with experiences with that person where you can't go any further, like your body starts to break down physically, emotionally, you start to have anxiety attacks, panic attacks, you are finding that you're going to the doctor, physically you're having headaches, your body will begin to shut down to try and get your attention and try and tell you, hey, you can't do this anymore. And if you won't help yourself, let me step in and help you. So you find that you're sick all the time. You just find that there are other things happening, and those things seem to pile on what's already happening. And when you're honest with yourself, you finally get the cojones to do whatever in the world it will take to get out of that relationship. The last one for me to get out of, it took years. It took a complete shattering of my ego. It took moving into my childhood bedroom with my daughter, living with my parents, leaving everything that was mine that I was holding on to behind, my house, the cars, all of my stuff, and just going with anything I could fit in my car. No job, nothing. And it took getting to that place where I would have rather lived in a cardboard box on the side of the road with my child than continue to put myself in a position where I was with that person. It was horrible. It was the lowest low I've ever been at. And then when I got out, I was my own worst critic. But I realized I have always been my own worst critic. I wasn't just my own worst critic in that relationship. In that relationship, I became my own worst enemy because I was beating myself up. I'm not good enough. What is wrong with you? You did this, or why didn't you do that? Why did you do that? Especially after an argument or after an explosion of engagement, I would talk to myself like I was the enemy, like I was that narcissist. I would talk to myself like, Sarah, what the hell? You know better. And then, of course, I would be ashamed. I would be guilty or feeling guilty because there I went again. Right? I knew better, and I knew that I knew better, but I did it anyway. I engaged with them, I retracted, and I pulled back, and I did those things that I promised myself and that person that I was never going to do again, and there I was doing it again. So I was beating myself up in my own head and mind of, you're so stupid, I can't believe you're such an idiot, maybe he's right. All of those things. So I went from being my own worst critic to my own worst enemy. So not only did I have the narcissist as the enemy, I also had myself as the enemy. And I had no one to blame but myself. And that's a really shitty place to be. But oftentimes it's the very place you need to be so that you will make changes for you. Because no one else is going to make changes for you. It has to come from you. And so many people are out there in these types of relationships blaming the other person. Stuck in that victim mentality. Well, they did this to me and they did that to me. Yeah, they did. And there's no denying that. They did do those things. But you were also involved. And when you realize that you were involved, yeah, maybe you can like be hard on yourself every now and then, but when you realize the extent to which you were involved, you go from being your own worst critic to your own worst enemy. And then even after you're out of that relationship physically and you do the things like extreme limited contact or no contact, you're still left to face yourself. And that inner critical voice, those judgments, those horrible thoughts that you have, they don't magically go away. They're still there. And that is the very place where you become aware that you are also part of the problem. Yes, that person was part of the problem, but you are also part of the problem. And that's the very place that change can happen. So it's not a bad place to be. In fact, it's a very good place to be, because it's the only place that you can be that will actually be the catalyst for creating change in your life. When you begin to work on you, and when you stop saying, well, if that narcissist would stop doing this to me, that's what they do. They're narcissists. They're going to go do narky things. They're going to go do narcissistic things. And you can sit there and wonder, why did they do this to me? Or you can sit there and really be with you. Why do I do this to me? That's the only place that change can occur. You can expect to be let down. You can expect to be belittled. You can expect to be name called and have, the smear campaign, and you can expect all of those things. But why are you allowing yourself to do the very same things to you? So you go from being your own worst critic to your own worst enemy. So no wonder it feels overwhelming, draining, exhausting, because now not only do you have the narcissist as the enemy, you have yourself as an enemy as well. So even if you were to just work on you and figure out what it is that has you do those things, that you talk to yourself in the same way that the narcissist talks to you, then you can get yourself back on your side and have the narcissist over there, and then it won't feel like 2 against 1, or that you're completely alone. When you can turn your inner critic and your inner enemy into an inner cheerleader, you'll notice the most significant changes in your life. And not just in one area of your life, but in all areas of your life. In every single area. The relationship with yourself, the relationship with friends, the relationship with family, the relationships you have at work, the relationships with your children, in the way that you handle day-to-day things, like when someone cuts you off while you're driving, or someone cuts in front of you at Starbucks and you lose it and you don't know why. The simple, smallest little things will have the most significant impact and change when you get to that place and you transform that inner critic and that inner enemy into an inner cheerleader. And so if any of this resonates with you, I've been there. I know exactly what it's like. I've been there many times in different ways and in different relationships. I know exactly what it's like to go through that, and exactly what it's like to go through that transformation where you immediately catch it and you immediately can put an end to it. Because there will come a point, if you do the work, where that narcissist is out of your life in the most capacity that they can be. In the second case, I still have to exchange, but it is so different than the way it used to be. There's no more arguing, there's no more engaging, there's no more anything. It's just, here you go. And anything else that crosses that line or that boundary, there you go. Take it to court, give it to the lawyer. That's it. All of the emotion, all the triggers are completely deactivated and out of it now. I'm still human, I still get triggered, but not by the narcissist anymore, because I know what to expect, and I get what I expect. Narky things. But there's no longer an inner critic or an inner enemy, so it doesn't feel like the scale's off balance anymore. So if you've been through it, I know that you know what I'm talking about. And I know that you will connect to that, but maybe you're not at that place yet. And if you're ready to be at that place but don't know what to do, or you've tried doing things and the things you've tried doing just aren't getting you to that place or aren't working, then I would love to connect and talk about exactly how to go through that transformation. So you can always find more information by clicking on the banner and going to my website and scheduling a time to chat. But how much longer are you willing to go on living with an inner critic and an inner enemy? Good question to ask yourself.